Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Rene Ruiz with Nationwide Purchase Loans, and today's presentation is on appraisal nuances, requirements, and what to do if your appraisal comes in low. Now, of course, the relevance here is that I want to educate you. This is meant as general information. We are seeing some appraisals come in low, which means it's kind of becoming a little bit more relevant, and that trend could continue. The volatility that we're seeing with interest rates is also driving volatility in demand, and that means that some properties are going under contract when the rates are at 6% and some are going under contract when the rates are at 7%, and that is seen in the actual prices people are paying for homes. My presentation today goes over the basics. I'll talk about nuances and general requirements, and like I said earlier, I will help you understand what your options are if your appraisal comes in low. So, what is an appraisal? Well, first off, it's an unbiased professional's opinion as to the value of real estate. What an appraisal does is conduct an inspection. They take pictures and measurements, not looking for problems, but they will point out obvious ones. Then they go home and they get to work. The comps that they use ideally should be within a 1 mile radius and no more than 3 months old. The appraiser can go out further in time and distance if needed, like if it's a cabin up in the mountains and there's not a lot of comps. And you need to know that the valuation process itself is a series of comparisons and adjustments. And I'm going to give you an example, but I'm going to oversimplify on purpose. Imagine that an appraiser is appraising a home, and next door, the neighbor sold 2 months ago. They sold for $1 million. Everything is exactly the same. The floor plan, the square footage, the lot size, the noise, everything. When an appraiser sits down and sees a model match like that, it's very easy. Again, the difference being a swimming pool. They could assign a value of $50,000 to a swimming pool in that neighborhood and very easily say, the other house sold for $1 million, I'm subtracting 50, this house is worth $950. But again, I'm oversimplifying to help you understand. There's way more work than that. They do that over and over and over again, and rarely do they have model matches to go off of. And even if they have a model match, I mean, what if that one's been updated and this one hasn't? And remember, they don't just use one comp. They have 3 main comparables that they use for the evaluation, and then they have 3 other comparables that need to support. The first 3 have to be closed sales. The other 3 can be pending sales or listings. To continue with the requirements, know that if one exists, a purchase contract has to be reviewed by the appraiser. That's extra work and information that they have to take in. This sort of gives them a target. They know what you're going to be paying for the house. And generally, in my opinion, that's what they go for. They review the agreement looking for information such as the relationship between you and the seller and what the concessions might be, like if you're getting a $25,000 credit towards closing costs, that goes into the valuation. And they do other investigations too, like if we have a condo, they have to contact the HOA and ask a few questions, depending on what our underwriter needs. Additional requirements. If repairs are needed, the appraiser has to go back and inspect a second time. They charge a fee for this, and it can range anywhere from $200 to $400, depending on how quickly you need them to go back out there. For investment properties, rent surveys are often needed. This is also something that the appraiser handles. And if an appraisal comes in low, there's a ton of extra work to be done. As I was explaining earlier, the appraiser receives a copy of the sales contract so they know what the sales price is. That is usually their target because if the valuation comes in low, they have to do extra work. Generally, the agents that are involved in the transaction will reach out and request a rebuttal. They will provide additional comps because they want to defend their honor. They told their buyer or their seller that this price was acceptable, and now they have to step forward. And it's not usually a nice communication. So in my opinion, appraisers are generally going to shoot for the sales price unless they really don't think the house is worth what it's being sold for. All right, time for some math. I'll keep it simple for you guys. Remember, we do the math for you around here. So put your calculators away. I'm going to talk to you about what is going to happen if your appraisal comes in low. And by the way, the answer depends largely on how your loan was structured to begin with. Let's say that you were putting 20% down. On a $1 million house in Orange County where we're at, 20% is a pretty good down payment. And if your appraisal were to come in low, you could come up with a difference. In our original scenario here, your cash to close is $219. In option 1, which is illustrating the appraisal coming in low by $50,000, a value of $950. The real change you see is that the cash to close goes up and the payment goes down. Payment goes down because you're borrowing less money, but the cash to close goes up because you're paying the difference between the sales price and appraisal. That's if you do nothing. If we choose to restructure your loan and you have enough income to qualify and carry the additional payment, we can go ahead and adjust the down payment so that you're putting less money down. Now you've got the money to cover the difference in sales price and appraisal. And if you notice, the payment is higher. You're looking at $6,400 versus the original scenario that had a payment of $6,200, but your cash to close is almost the same. Instead of $219,000, it's actually slightly lower at $218,000. What I want to show you is that a bad appraisal is not necessarily bad. And of course, if you can get the seller to drop the price, that's the best case for you. But if you can't, then there's alternatives if you're not doing a minimum down payment. And this is what I'm showing you now. In this scenario, our buyer's putting 5% down. And in Orange County, at that sales price, that is the minimum down payment on a conventional loan. So if the appraisal were to come in low and sellers refuse to budge, unfortunately, this is what you're looking at. You'd have to come up with the difference, and the cash to close goes up considerably. However, if you can get the seller to drop the price, that's what I have been seeing happen in the past 2 or 3 months. I have seen 3 transactions where appraisals came in low. In 2 of them, the seller just dropped the price to what the appraisal was. In 1 of them, they met in the middle. So when I hear that an appraisal came in low, I don't generally get scared. I'm usually happy for our buyers. A few things for you to remember. The property value is defined as the lower of the appraised value or sales price on purchases. If it's a refi, it's just the appraised value. Conventional and FHA or VA loans, which we call Govy loans, they have different requirements. Also, a low appraisal can be a good thing. Ask for your price to be reduced, and if your seller is not willing to reduce the price, give us a call. We can help you do the math and figure out what options you might have. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And if you can think of any other topics you would like us to cover, we would love to oblige. Please reach out and let us know. Make it a great day.